Hey everybody, this is Mickey G. You know, blues music has transformed from deep, depressing lyrics of the old days to graphic messages of today. And blues musicians do it without the need for censorship, even though the words leave nothing to the imagination. Well, Rodney and I talk about the modern day blues and high school basketball coaching in this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. And after we left, was walked outside, get ready to get in the car. I told Steve, I said, man, I said, the thing that I hated most about him was, back in the day when he had these thoroughbreds on the team, and all he would do is bring the ball down and set it up, bring the ball down and set it up. And Steve said, yeah, I played for him. And he said, the thing that got me was we'd go up to Tennessee Tech in the summer. They'd always have this, like a summertime tournament. Teams would come in from everywhere. You'd play, scrimmage games and that kind of thing. He said, yeah, we'd go up there and play, and all we would do all during that camp was run, run, run. We ran our ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to the season, start practicing, come to the game. It's like, slow it down, sit it up. He's like, what the hell were we doing all that running for then?
Exactly.
All we gonna do is bring the ball down and sit it up. He said, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
And these coaches who didn't know Jack back then, because, they want you to pass it 5-10 times before you take a shot. I mean, what sense does that make? That makes no sense at no time. A good shot is a good shot, whether you get it first thing or you have to work it around and all that. But that's what they taught back then.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got to high school as a sophomore. I'd been lucky prior to that playing ball with coaches who were younger and up to date in junior high. And my sophomore year, this dude didn't want me to dribble between my legs, didn't want me to dribble behind my back. I'm like, hell, that's my game. What are you talking about? So he yanked me out a couple of times after a while, but then he saw he needed me in there, so he left me in there. But he was like, man, no, you want a two-hand chest pass? This is a new day. Ain't nobody doing all that mess. I mean, where a two-handed chest pass is warranted, yeah. But not that every pass you take, you're going to take that one step. It's like one of them old high and tight haircut films, you're watching them old dudes playing with the peach basket and stuff, man. Like, man, ain't nobody doing that mess. And that next year, we got a coach that said, no. He threw the ball out in the middle of the court, said, get after it. Boy, that was the best time we had. It was the best time we had. And I was like, man, but, you get some folks, they ain't no coach. They call them a coach, but they ain't no coach.
No, and that was the problem back in our high school days. The young coaches, they would bring up and put them in the middle school or the junior high,
Yep.
And some of them were, like I say, more progressive than the high school coach. And they'd be teaching them, like I say, to run the ball a little bit and those kind of things. Well, by the time they got tried out for the high school team, they didn't want to see that, because them old guys, the old guys was there at high school.
Yep.
And they used to always talk about, well, when we played junior high, they even in middle school, we did this, that, and other. Well, now you're up here now. You're going to do it my way. So that was the problem they ran into. The young coaches were down in the lower grades, and the old heads was always at the high school.
Oh, yeah. That's the way we were. Yeah, in middle school and all of that, well, we was winning the city championships and all this other kind of stuff, football and basketball. You get up there with them old World War II head suckers. Mm-hmm. And, I wish I'd have known I had the balls to say it. I probably wouldn't have said it. But when I was up there, I was like, well, let me ask you, how many championships have you won playing this damn boring ass ball? So
I can remember we even had a basketball that had a black print of a hand on the ball, and then had the palm print on the other side beside the hand print. When they used to try to show you how to shoot, a jump shot, your hand's supposed to be there, palm of your other hand, In other words, your left hand's supposed to be where that hand is on the ball.
Right.
The palm of your right hand should be there, and that's how you shoot. And everybody's looking like, "That ain't how we shoot." But
No.
that I remember that, I just thought about that. They actually had a basketball with a handprint and a palm print, on the ball that was supposed to be your hand position to shoot a jump shot.
Man.
Yeah, I still remember that.
We we had some dinosaurs on ours, but y'all had some prehistoric.
Yeah, we had a basketball that had a palm print and a hand print, painted on the ball, and that was how you supposed to set your hands to shoot the jump shot.
Good Lord. I guess Naismith himself sent that down there.
I guess so. Oh, man, but yeah, man, but it's changed, that's for sure.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
for
it's
sure.
definitely for the better.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking we went out to, San Antonio to that graduation a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago,
yeah, I meant to ask you
and,
about that, yeah.
it's funny how things have changed even in graduation. We went to this high school. It's a school that they built after we left. I had never even heard of
Mhm.
the school before after when we went to the graduation. But they had the graduation down at the Alamo Dome. They had about, I think, 400 or 500 kids in the senior class. I mean, it's a big school.
Oh, okay.
And the well, actually, it was the assistant principal got up before they started and spent about 10 minutes talking to the family, friends, and relatives of the graduates about how you supposed to act. And I said, "Now,
Yep.
come on now. Is it that
Still
bad
doing
that you
that.
gotta lecture the audience before you could even start the ceremony?" But yeah, he had to. So he lectured the audience, everybody, the kids have been briefed already about discipline, and we don't want to hear all these screaming names and all this kind of stuff. And I said, "Okay, all right." So we go in, they start the ceremony, and I don't think they got 3 kids in to name the kid, air horn going off, and
Yep.
I'm like, "Well, now I understand why
Mhm.
why they have to do that, of course." And then, the thing that I didn't really like about their ceremony, like at the high school back in McMinnville now, that's all I can sort of go on. They have awards day for, like, the athletes. They have a
Mhm.
ceremony for all of them. Then they have, like, a scholarship day. That's where we go and give our scholarship for the museum, and all the other little groups around town, give their scholarships out. And there's kids that get, 2 or 3 scholarships from different organizations and all. But when they do the graduation, it's just basically, Mickey Gwynn, hand you the diploma, you walk off the stage. Rodney
Right.
Turner, hand you the, well, this one, they actually talked about the scholarships the students had when they called their name. They would call out their name and tell them. And to me, it was almost embarrassing because they would call up, okay, Rodney Turner, he has 34 scholarship offers that includes Harvard, Yale, Princeton,
Mm.
and you walk out, you get your diploma. Then they say, Mickey Gwynn, and you walk across, which means you ain't got nothing. That means you ain't got nothing. And I'm like, to me, that would be my fate. I would follow behind the salutatorian or the valedictorian. They got 35 scholarship awards and all this kind of stuff and all this. Then they call Mickey Gwynn. And that's all they say.
Oh, he
It's your name.
he he was on the D honor roll, man.
I think I like the system back better when they have all them awards out and
Mhm.
everybody get to, do their rah-rah stuff at those awards and things. And when it comes to graduation, they basically call your name and you walk across stage to get your diploma, and that's it. Because I said, that's a little embarrassing to get up there and fall behind somebody that's got 35 scholarship offers and you ain't got nothing. So all they do is call your name. But, it
Everybody
was funny.
waiting
Yeah.
to hear something else. I'm like, "Oh, guess he
Oh, that
didn't
was
get
yeah,
nothing."
I guess that was it. I guess he didn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is kinda demoralizing there.
Yeah, I did. I thought about that. I said, I don't think I like this system. I think they ought to do something a little bit. And they may just not have awards nights and all those kind of things. Maybe
Mhm.
just don't do that. They just want to recognize them at graduation. But yeah, I said, it's a little embarrassing when all they do is call your name.
Yes,
And,
sir.
uh, and, and this this couple that was sitting with us. They're not original. They weren't originally from San Antonio. They moved in there years ago. And they was called a name. Of course, they go in alphabetical order. They go in
Right,
alphabetical
right.
order, and and they went through the names and all this stuff. They started calling out the people with the last name of Javier.
Mhm.
So they get through there. They got calling out Javier, and she said, "Why are they calling out the H's again?" And her husband sort of, put his hand over his mouth a little bit and said, "It's Javier. It starts with a J." She said, "Oh, I'm sorry." He said, "Why they calling out the H's again?"
I'm from Minnesota. I didn't know that.
"Why they calling
Yeah.
out the H's again?"
Well, I see
It starts with a J.
I see things ain't changed because when our kids graduated, Lynn graduated in what, 2003, I think it was, or 2005, 2003, I think it was. Anyway, it was the same thing, man. They gave a lecture like, please, everybody wants to hear their loved one's name. Would you
Mhm.
hold down on the cheering and and that kind of thing. And of course, you might as well not have said nothing.
Right.
And then you got these folks in there think, well, yeah, it is an accomplishment. They graduate from high school. You act like they done graduated from 6 years of college. Oh, we made it. I'm like, oh my God, you ignorant. And it was even before the ceremony began, man, folks getting into arguments about the fight because they wanted to sit in two people and let them book in some chairs and save for all
Mhm.
them late Negroes coming in,
Right, right.
and then think ain't nobody supposed to, hey, these are free seats. What are you ain't these ain't no reserved seats, and people were contesting that, man. I was like, it was some folks right in front of us. Well, we thought it was gonna be a brawl down there, man. And because everybody got to be fashionably late. If you want a
Mhm.
good seat and you want to sit with certain people, get there
Get
early,
there early.
like
That's the way
everybody
I am
else.
too.
Yeah.
Feel the same way about that, and, yeah, I know when the girls was in middle school, man, that middle school principal, he didn't play. I mean,
Mhm.
there was a couple of times during the ceremony, these are middle school kids, that he got up and he said, "If y'all don't cut that out, I'm gonna stop the ceremony right now." I mean,
Mhm.
he was something else. He was the worst that I've ever seen when it came down to stuff. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Come on, you at least give people a chance to just be a little, clap a little bit kind of
yeah,
thing." He was
yeah.
like, yeah, a couple times he threatened to stop the whole ceremony and clear the gym. He was
Mhm.
he was something else. But just like you said, well, and that's something that I don't like, especially in these days and time, when it comes to stuff like that, trying to save seats or whatever. Or I
Mhm.
know we went down to they have a program here called A Soldier's Child, and Donovan's part of that.
Mhm.
And they had a little meet and greet and things down at the arena at Bridgestone where the Predators play. So they said, they come down at this certain time. They'll let you in at like 5 o'clock. So how it is. You get down and you don't get down there early and everything. But they didn't have the doors open, so we just sat in the car. So as it got a little bit closer, people started to line up a little bit. I think Marion and Tara and Tara and Donovan went on and got in line.
Mhm.
So me and Tamara stayed in the car, and I said, they're still gonna be 10, 15 minutes. I said, it's here for him. I said, y'all go ahead and go. So, we got out and got in line. So we're getting ready to go in line, and they're saying, come on over here. Come on, come over here with us. And I'm like, no. I said, you don't know how people are these days.
Mhm.
I know they probably will look and say, well, they're all family. But no, we weren't standing up there in line with y'all. These people have been standing behind y'all ever since y'all got up there. I'm just not going to go up and get in line. Like one of them kind of thing, like, ain't nobody going to see me walk up here to the front and get in front of y'all. I said, no, I said, I don't play that. I said, no. So we went and got at the end of the line. And the people that were behind them were saying, "Let y'all come on up. Come, we know y'all all family. Come on up." I said, "No." I said, "No." I said, "Y'all been waiting in line. Y'all got there and stood in line. I have no problem coming back here to the end of the line because I don't like to see people do that kind of stuff on me.
Oh, yeah.
And I just don't do it I just don't feel comfortable to do that. If I want to, like you said, if I want to get up and get in front of the line, I need to get there early enough to get up and get in front of the line. I just don't see that. But I've seen it at many times where people do that kind of, "Oh, girl, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah." And then all of a sudden they're they're in the line with,
Yeah.
you know.
Trying
And
to
I'm
run
like,
that little game.
yeah, I'm like, everybody see what you're doing, but
Yeah.
once
That happened to us.
again,
That happened to us here at a concert. We had damn, a saxophone player. I can't even think of his name now. He's one of the popular saxophone players. Anyway, we they said he was going to sign autographs for a while, and it's first come, first serve, man. And we got up there, we got in line, wasn't far back. Next thing you know, here come all these cousins and whoever walking up like they talking to him, and like you said, then they're in line.
yeah.
I got so pissed off because I had the dude's CD. I was gonna just get him to sign it, and I said, "Nah, the hell with this," because I know I'm getting pissed off right now just watching these bastards. They act like everybody else is stupid and blind, don't see what you're doing. So I was like, "Let's go, Rosalind. I ain't gonna even try to do this." Damn, I can't. Hell, I was just listening to him today too. I can't even.
What Kurt Whalen was.
Yes, that's exactly who it was.
You know the reason I said that?
Huh?
His brother was a chief in the Air Force.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Kurt Whalen came and played in, what venue was it in DC? It was one of the Smithsonian's small, like, little places. It wasn't like a big, like, Bridgestone, and it was a smaller place, I think, that was ran by the Smithsonian. So, our Chiefs group, they got us, reserved seats and everything, and they could bring our family, man, and went. And we went to his concert. Yeah, his brother was a chief in the Air Force.
Oh,
We
okay.
got to meet him and talk to him and everything. That's why I thought about that. That's who it was, 'cause I knew he played sax too. But yeah, man, that was he jammed. He had the
Oh, yeah.
band playing with him too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was down here in Oklahoma City at they have a Charlie Christian Jazz Festival here. He's a famous black musician from back in the day that they named this festival for him. Well, they done basically took the name, boy. They used to be all in one central location, so you can go there, and you can go see who you want to see. Now these other folks done got a hold of it. They got venues all across the city. Like, hell, I ain't driving all the way over there. And half the names you don't even know,
Right.
And but yeah, he was there and performed at that one, and I was gonna get him to sign my CD, and these folks jumped up in there. I was like, man, this is ridiculous. Now, if somebody had done them on them, they'd be ready to fight. And go,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So we just left. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, that's why I don't do that. If I'm gonna go wait in line, I'll just go get in line.
mhm,
But I just don't like to, even though, like I say, I know they knew we were probably all family and all. I'll go back in and stand in line where I am at the back of the line, like you should do. But
mhm,
and there was a couple people who did the same thing. They went up to the front and was acting like they was talking and like, well, yeah, like I say, you just say, okay, just let it go. It ain't worth it, kind of thing.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't like to
It's,
I don't
it's
like to do that.
That's
Either.
one reason why I don't hardly go anywhere no more, because these foolish ass people. I mean, even when you go to a venue, I remember the time before the last time I saw Frankie Beverly. Yeah, I ain't gonna call them that. Anyway, they have no respect for anybody else. Everybody in here paid for a ticket. They standing up in front of everybody. If you want to see anything, you got to stand up because they standing their ass up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, take your ass to the club because that's where you're going. I see how you're dressed anyway. People are sitting here trying to enjoy a nice concert, man. So I made sure the last time I got tickets, when I called and got them and reserved them, I'm like, we'll make sure I'm in the front of a section where I ain't got to worry about these idiots standing up in front of it. Because they could give a damn about anybody else's feelings about the thing.
Yeah, but like you say, things have changed even on those kind of venue. We were talking about that yesterday when we was out there that Juneteenth. The DJ was playing and he played a couple of blues cuts and this young lady that's on our team, she said, "Yeah, man, I just like listening to them blues music." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Have you gone down to Birmingham to the Blues Fest that they have every year?" She said, "No, I ain't been down there." I said, "The only thing is," I said, "I haven't been either." I said, "But I said it really ain't the Blues Fest anymore. There may be a couple of
Yeah.
blues singers on the venue, but now they got the hip hop guys, they got the rappers, they got all these other groups. I said it, and she said, "Well, that they people just don't come out for the blues much anymore. Most of that group is an older group, and a lot of those." She said, "A lot of that older group has found religion, so they don't go to these things anymore."
Ah.
And so she said, to make money, they gotta bring out some of the younger groups and get some of the younger people to come. And I said, "Yeah," I said, "I didn't think about it like that," but I said, "Yeah, you're right,"
But that's 'cause they're greedy. They got one in, Greenville, Mississippi that they have every year. I was gonna go down there with, people from my hometown. They caravan down there, and, they say they have a funky good time down there. They be making reservations a year ahead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's just a blues festival, and 'cause I went home one time. I didn't really know these folks that good, 'cause my dad had moved over into that neighborhood, but them folks just love to party, man. They just find any reason just to have a good time, drink that Miller Lite. And so I pulled up in there and I had my little smooth jazz going. What is he listening to? If it ain't blues, they don't want to go. I was like, y'all need to move up north so you can get a little comfortable instead of down here with all that whining in it. My baby left me.
Yeah, that's what it's about. I was playing some the radio station in Nashville Saturday mornings plays blues and oldies, and they were playing some blues, and we was riding in the car. And Tamara said, "Boy, that's some of the nastiest music." I said, "What?" I said, "They ain't cussed. They ain't bleep nothing now like all these rappers." I said, "Why are you gonna say it?" Because you know what they talking about. You know what they I was listening
Oh,
because
yeah.
every time I get up on Saturday morning, I listen to it. If I'm going to Mac Millville like I was this weekend, I was listening to it. And, there was one song come on about the junk in your trunk and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And I'm like,
Oh,
that old blues ain't changed.
it's so they're like that I don't know if when I was younger, when I listened to it, I was just listening to the music. I wasn't paying attention, but I like be like that Marvin Cease talking about candy liquor.
Yeah, yeah.
And all that. Man, cause mine, I don't know why, when I put Pandora on my laptop here, the first thing come on is, the blues. It comes on, damn, what's the man name? I can't think his name now. But, I went through my spell of listening to nothing but blues for a while. And now back on my jazz thing. Then Philip introduced me to this young dude. That's a rapper. And he does what rappers do. He didn't voiced over some of the good music from the 70s and the 80s.
Mhm.
It sounds good, but what he's saying is the 2010s and the 2020s. So I get in my little spell and listen to that sometimes. And
Yeah. But the thing about, the blues, it's almost like, they found a way to say this almost the same things that
oh
the
yeah,
rappers and all are saying now, but they say it like you say, like, they say candy liquor,
yeah,
versus, what the rappers probably would be saying kind of
yes
thing.
sir,
And, and you look at it, you're like, well, you can't really censor it because they ain't cussing, they ain't saying nothing bad.
that's
It's
right.
just sort of the suggestion, just like who was it? What was it? Betty Wright that came out with "Bone It Like You Own It." Was that her that came
Oh,
out
I
with
don't,
that
I don't,
song?
I don't remember. Yeah,
Yeah, there was a song called "Bone It Like You Own It." I think it was Betty Wright that came out with that. So I mean,
mhm.
they've
That
always
sound
had that.
about her speed.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
see,
that's what it
back
was.
then too, the FCC was more stringent. They had to find creative ways to
Mhm.
say what they were talking about. And hell, now that's why when we was growing up and our folks, they had to have an imagination to think about what they said. These kids now, it just ain't. I'm blanking you in your blank.
Yeah, ain't nothing to the imagination. You ain't got think about, well, what are they really trying to say,
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
Like I was telling somebody, I said, back in the day, listen to Earth, Wind and Fire. Sometimes you had to get pretty deep to
Yeah,
understand really what the music was there, the
yeah,
rhythm was there. You was getting into it, and then when you sit down and listen to the songs and the words, you're like, damn, that's pretty deep.
yeah, man.
As I say today, I still don't know if I know what Strawberry Letter 23 was about. When the Brother Johnson came out with that,
Yeah, yeah,
but I remember reading somewhere what it's supposed to mean. I can't think about what it said now, but I'm like, what does that mean? The music was hitting, but the
mhm.
what the meaning of the song, I'm like, I have no idea what Strawberry Letter 23 means. You know.
Yeah, man. You had to really get deep on it. I was trying to think here. I can't think of what it was. Had me rolling. I said, "Yeah, my mama was just back there singing that song."
Yeah, that's like the girls. They always getting on marrying about when they was young and Push It was on. See, we just back there in the car problem about push it and push it good, push it real good, all that kind of stuff. Say, Mama, you let us listen to that song and sing that song. We didn't know what they was talking about at that time. Of course, when they got older, they realized what the song was about.
Yep, yep,
But yeah, you let us sing that song and listen to that song. Of course, once again, they really didn't say nothing in there that was,
yeah,
explicit, but you knew what they were talking about.
exactly. We were. I said this to they had a concert here and they had Surface here and there's a bunch of groups, but anyway, uh, it was so damn hot. We ain't sitting out here on the ground. We're gonna go back here VIP where the mixed drinks are and where the air conditioner is. So I paid for us to go back there. Well, we were standing right where when the artist came out, and they would come out before they went on, and listen to the rest of the thing. Anyway, dude from Surface, they were pretty cool. I was standing up there talking to them, and I told them, I said, "Yeah, man." I said, I was driving to Texas one time, and my little 4-year-old wanted to get out of his car seat, so we let him out for a little while, and he stuck his arms up, between the bucket seats up there.
All right.
And I said, then he started singing, "I wanna lick you up and down." Boy, they fell out. The dude was like, "Really?" I was, "Yeah, man." He's like, I said, "I had to become conscious of what I was listening to because they
That's
listening to." I said, "What you know about that?" "What, Dad?" "I wanna lick you up and down." He knew the song too, boy. I was like, "Good."
right.
I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to make sure I turn that one down a little bit lower when I." But yeah, man, these kids are getting smarter earlier.
Yeah, they are.
He
You
didn't he
gotta
didn't know
be
what it meant, but he knew the lyric though.
right.
Mm.
And well, that's the way. Like I'll be in here on my computer, and I'll be on like my Facebook page, and uh, Dom will run in here and jump on my lap and stuff. And it seems like every time he does is right when I'm scrolling through some of them reels.
Yeah,
Papa, what is that? That ain't nothing. No, Papa, I want to go back and see. No,
yeah.
like I say, all them big butt women
Oh,
reels and stuff. Papa,
telling
I
you.
want to go. No, you don't need to see that. You don't need to see that. So yeah, you gotta be gotta be a little careful these days with young kids and being out on them computers because every time he seemed like he walk in there, that's what it's on. Papa, what is that? I want to see that. No, you
Yep,
don't want to see it. Yeah, you have to be careful when you have kids around, or they might hear or see something they shouldn't. And don't ask why was you listening or looking at that anyway. Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition. Join us next time for Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.